I guess what feels better for you, completing a triathlon or starting the 3-2-1?
3, 2, 1.
And why is that?
You know why? Awareness, baby.
Awareness, baby.
Awareness, baby. God, you got it all going on, Chris. I don't know. Us Chris's, we got something going here.
Walking on thin ice, I'm gonna roll that dice till the thrill has gone. I wanna play with fire.
All right. Hey, Chris, welcome to the podcast. This podcast is a new one for me. I've been doing one related to hockey for the most part, but this new part of my podcast is called Tough as They Come. And when I was looking for potential subjects, people to speak to about this and learn about toughness and have those stories that show perseverance, drive, determination, I came across your story and I just could not believe what you've achieved in your young life. And you got to be a good guy because, first of all, your name is Chris, like mine, right?
Yeah.
So a couple of Chris's here. Listen, I wanna ask you, like growing up, I see you got your sister, mom and dad, you got a really close family, but navigating life and going to school as a young kid with Down syndrome, how difficult was that for you?
You know, it's quite devastating because there are many ways that like school and stuff is trying to go to fishing hard and we never one day like my mind pulled me out of school and she decided to watch to me. So I just started just to come out the ORB.
Well, it's difficult enough to grow up in life, young kids trying to find their way in life. And you had a lot of challenges at a very young age with your health. You had 2 holes in your heart. You had surgery, right? Open heart surgery. You had some issues with your ears. Do you remember much about that time, those young years when you had those surgeries and stuff?
So I remember like when I was having the whole operation and started when it comes with like the ears it really threw me off. It really stinks, but I pulled through and they gave me now a swimmer, biker, and a runner. So,
Chris,
Chris,
do you remember? Do you remember flirting with the nurses when you had your ears?
And also, the insurgents are spawning in the nurses.
So you were flirting with the nurses, huh? So, what I want to know, and geez, I heard your dad talk about some of the things you had to deal with, and what a wonderful dad you have. I got to tell you, your dad Nick is just an awesome man. And where did this desire to compete and do this triathlon come from? Where did this come from?
Well, it's your family,
Okay.
right? I'm not Derek, is like your man, but from your perspective, he's 62, and he's an old man.
Don't call me an old man.
As an old man, he's going, and I got 2 days off because of my quad.
Pulled your quad.
Yeah.
And now I still have fun. It's works all day long. But that's what is considered on me.
So, all right, the triathlon. Now, God, when I think about it, when I saw that you did this in your first one, what you had to deal with, and Dan Grebe, your coach and partner, is just an awesome man too. But you know, I thought to myself when I watched you do this triathlon, I said to myself, one, I never want to do a triathlon, and two, I don't think I could ever do it because I have some physical injuries from all my years of playing hockey. I have a new knee. I have a fused ankle. I think maybe I could swim and maybe bike, but I don't know about the running part. What for you was the most difficult thing to do? The bike, the swim, or the run?
I think, so I actually like the swim and the run. Because the run, it makes me feel cute. And the run makes me feel cute.
Yeah.
And whenever I swim, it's still cute. And
All right, he doesn't
the
really
bike, it kind of hard to just like sit there for 8+ hours.
On the bike.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
hard.
the bike. You must get the sore butt. I rode the bike a lot when I was a hockey player, and I always got the sore butt. I'm sure you did too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one. So you go on that first one in Florida, the first triathlon, and there was a point there where you were thinking about quitting because the run was so difficult on you. Okay. What I want to know is what is it that your dad said to get you to keep going?
I didn't expect to quit, but I'll be quick. Because I knew that I need my dad out there. Then
Do you remember what I asked you?
he said something like, the pain in the dream. And I easily said dream.
Why don't you tell him the whole sentence, because he wasn't part of the story. He needs the whole context. So tell him how the conversation went. What did I ask you, and what did you say?
So basically, the whole conversation down was he asked, what's it going to win?
What's gonna win?
The pain or the dream?
Pain of the dream.
And I said dream.
Dream.
Wow, that's incredible. And the dream did win. And you had to deal with in that the fire ants when they got in your shoes, and you had to stop and change shoes and get your feet cleaned up and get going again. You had to overcome so many things, and it just impressed me so much that you were able to accomplish that. Most people, quite frankly, probably would have quit, and you kept going. You wrote a book, and again, nothing comes easy for you. You said that. And now you're able to live life on your own terms, and you're a pretty independent guy from what I can see. Now, do you still use that whiteboard every day?
Yeah?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you map out your week and your day all the time?
Right?
Now, I saw that you had 3 dreams.
Actually, it was 5.
6.
Okay.
5 and 6.
Okay. That's right. And I know when I looked at the first video on you, the top 3 were get a house,
Yeah.
get a car. You have those 2.
Yeah.
And then you wanted to get a smoking hot blonde from Minnesota, just like your mom. Did that happen? Really?
I'm going to get it.
Well, you will get. Not yet. Well, he doesn't know if it happened yet, so not yet. We're still
not happening.
We're gonna go to Minnesota.
It did happen?
Well,
Yes.
No?
it will. Yes, it will, but it didn't yet.
Okay.
Be very clear so he understands you. He doesn't understand the Down syndrome Southern accent.
Is she right?
No, he doesn't. He's from Boston. they cut out half the words too and then stretch out some of the letters, just like you do.
Yeah, park the car in Harvard Yard.
They do the same thing.
See?
The other ones were become a public speaker, which he's become.
Which he's done.
Own his own business, which he has.
Yeah.
And make enough money to take care of his family when he needs to, and he has.
Oh, God bless you, Chris. Yeah, God, talk about having it all together, you, and achieving those goals that you set for yourself. It's really impressive. Now, Dan Grebe, I want to ask you about Dan and how you came upon Dan and how important he is in your life.
So I'll answer that one. So
Okay.
Dan was Chris's guide. And Chris has a lot of guides, and he's had a dozen different guides to different events. So Dan came along at a time when his previous guide couldn't keep up with the Ironman effort.
Yeah.
So Dan ended up being his guide. In terms of the coaching, I do all of that. Someone like Chris is very unique. I went to an expert triathlon coach, Hector Torrens, and asked him to explain to me what they're trying to do. And then what I did was I modified the training plan in order to work with Chris's intellectual disability. So I designed this plan called 1% Better, which is just a really simple progression of training that starts with one, builds one more. And we built that into biking, running, swimming, and strength. And so Chris follows a very simple, progressive building plan that just either increases the distance or increases the speed. And that's all he does. And so he and a lot of his friends with intellectual disabilities are following the same plan and succeeding because the plan is simple. It makes sense to them and they could track their progress. And that's why the dream board is so important. And guides like Dan and others really fill a role where they're out there just in case they need to make a decision or, they need to talk to them or, there's uncertainties out there. And so a lot of our athletes have guides, but a lot of them are also racing without guides now. Chris has done 2 events without guides. A lot of his friends do it without guides. The idea is to help them become independent and be able to navigate those decisions on their own. So a lot of what we're teaching them is to become independent.
Well, that's awesome.
I would not talk about that because of what government goes through.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of great things to say about that.
Okay.
You can kind of keep that one out.
Okay. So that 1%, right? That method and that guide, is that just a good guide designed for Special Olympic athletes, or can that work for anybody in life?
Well, I designed it as part of my corporate consulting business. I do it for business executives, salespeople. So I designed a 1% Better program that creates sustainable change over time. And then all I did was I modified it and simplified it for Chris and his Special Olympics athletes. So I made it simpler for them to understand it and follow it. But to your point, it's a plan that is designed to be simple, injury-free, burnout-free, and guaranteed to produce results if you're patient. It may not be perfect for elite athletes like you who can go all out and can perform at unbelievable levels, but it's more for average people and people with intellectual disabilities and people who just have a hard time following out a more rigorous plan. It's designed to go slower, to create patience and to create a habit of success over a period of time. So yeah, most people can use it. I would say elite athletes have they have their own plan that works really well for them.
So Chris, what does your training plan each week look like? Do you train 7 days a week, and how many hours a day?
Actually, it's 3 to 6 hours, which is like every day.
3 to 6 hours every day, yep.
Wow. Now,
The stuff you do. Give an example, like
an idea what some of the things you train on.
Well, basically, I do back workouts, and then I do like
running workouts.
Swimming, mostly fun.
Go else.
I just take classes every day.
So what do you do for strength?
And then for strength, I do pull-ups, which is like also body workout, with push-ups.
Yep.
How many pull-ups can you do?
A lot,
Well, what's a lot?
like 10 times 8.
10 times 8. Sometimes you do 10 times 12.
Wow.
110, 100, 120.
Wow. And do you try and do that one extra every day? If you do, say you do 100, do you try and do 101?
No.
Yes, you do. That's but the plane goes like that. It goes up, but then we go backwards.
Yeah, okay.
And then go forward. So it's not a straight linear. It's actually progressive and goes backwards to recover and keep building up.
So I imagine, and listening to your dad speak, and you speak, you were told a lot of times that you couldn't do certain things. And I'm just curious, how did that make you feel when doctors said, oh, Chris can't swim, he can't do that, he can't do this? How did that make you feel, Chris?
Testing. But I couldn't tie my own shoe.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I had to get my dad to my shoes every day.
So you can run a marathon even though you can't tie your shoes. That's pretty good. I'll trade those two.
Yeah. You kidding me?
So tell what you say to people who tell you you can't do stuff. What do you tell people who tell you can't
Yeah,
do
I'm
stuff?
all right.
Get out of your way.
Get out of your way and just keep going.
Right.
Yeah, man, it's there.
Okay.
The Kona triathlon. Now, my girlfriend, my wife-to-be, Jamie, is from Kona. And when we saw you did the Ironman competition and you betted your time from Florida, it was amazing. What was more difficult for you, the Florida triathlon or the one in Kona, and why?
I think the Florida got so intense
Because it was what?
because it's windy
Yeah.
and brutal. But for Kona, it was a lot better.
Wow. I've been on that road out to Hawaii where you ride the bike, and that gets really hot. Was it really hot on the bike there on that ride?
Very hard.
And drink lots of water?
Yeah, Kona was actually much easier for him
Yeah.
because he knew what to expect, and he trained, and he knew how to train, and he kept getting better and better. And so even though people say Kona is 30 or 40% harder than most races because of the heat and the mountain and all that, for him it was actually a lot easier.
Oh, cool. That's cool. And now another thing that certainly impressed me, and I wonder if this is easy for you, a Boston Marathon, because after going from doing a triathlon, you must go to the marathon and just like, this is easy. I can get through this, no problem. What's that like, going from the triathlon to a marathon? Is it easy?
Yeah.
Really?
The marathons, they have like signs everywhere.
What kind of signs?
Like the snapping bike station.
Like slapping station?
Yeah.
What else?
But the 6, 1 kisses.
Kissing station?
Kissing stations? Oh, that's good.
How
did you? Yeah. How did you do at Heartbreak Hill?
It's okay.
Yeah, you got through that no problem, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. Now that's my hometown, and I used to go and watch that all the time as a kid. We'd go to the finish line and watch all the runners come through. That's an amazing feat, being able to accomplish that. Are you going to do? I saw you wanted to do all 6 of the major ones: Tokyo, London, Boston. How many have you done?
I did Tokyo, London, Boston, New York twice.
Wow.
I'm going to do Berlin and Chicago.
in September and October. So he'll get the 6 stars in October.
Well, God bless you, Chris. That's unbelievable. Us Chris's, we got to stick together. So did you, what I want to go back to the big island of Hawaii. Is that the first time you ever been to Hawaii?
Yeah.
Did you love it there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place, huh?
I think so.
Yeah. So being a super athlete that you are, what are some of the other sports, or do you watch other sports? Like, are you a hockey fan at all?
Actually, I'm on NBA.
NBA. Who's your favorite team?
Magic.
The Magic. Well, I'm a Celtics fan. That isn't going over too big. The Magic.
Sorry. The team's going down this season. Wrong.
How about those Florida Panthers?
No idea.
No idea, huh? You don't like hockey, huh?
Yeah.
I can't convince you, huh?
But I went to the Toronto Bay
Lightning.
Diamond hockey game.
Yeah, they're a good team. They won the Stanley Cup for sure, right? That's another one.
He got a puck at the beginning of the game.
Good. You
That was-
dropped the puck. Good stuff.
That was
That
key.
must have been fun.
3-day contract for the Magic.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you get to go out and practice with them and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That must have been cool. Those guys are so tall, huh? You'd think you know what tall is until you get on the floor with them, huh?
I am so tall.
That's all.
How tall are you?
65 pounds.
How tall are you?
What did you say?
No, you said how much you weigh, 265.
Yeah.
How
Oh,
tall are you?
6'4".
6'4", 265?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
No
That's-
way.
that's
You're
how-
6'4"?
That's
Yeah.
how big he is in his head.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But in reality, he's 5'8", 165.
5'8", 165. 165 pounds of white dynamite right there. That's what you are, Chris. White dynamite.
See, I'm a 6'4", 265 pounds. So, NBA will give you start off a rocky start to the season.
So,
Opening night will be the Magic versus Boston Celtics.
oh, I can't wait. I hope that happens. And we see that next year.
And I'm gonna beat your team.
You are?
Yeah.
Well, if we go to Boston to visit, maybe we can visit them and go catch a game together.
Yeah, I would love to. You'd love to see one at the Boston Garden. So you say, Chris, that you want to open doors for other people. How can you do that?
Promote awareness around 321.
Okay.
Do you know what 321 is? Runner 321?
What's 321? No.
Runner 321 is a new category that Chris has created with all the major marathons so that they have a category now for athletes with intellectual disabilities. And the idea is that in the future, all athletes with intellectual disabilities will be able to qualify for like the Boston, New York, London, all those marathons. And so the way he's going to help everybody is by creating opportunities for inclusion in all kinds of events for athletes with intellectual disabilities.
That's so awesome, Chris. Didn't Boston have that and the other ones didn't? Something like that?
Well, Boston was the first one to do it, and then all the rest followed.
Oh, that's awesome. And does all the triathalons have that as
Ironman,
well?
yep, Ironman just created that same category. And
Look at you.
supposed to create that category in every kind of event. Boxing, not boxing, but, weightlifting or
Yeah.
bodybuilding or swimming, wherever there are categories for, you certainly have the professionals in different places, but wherever they have categories for others,
Yeah.
like women, different age groups, wheelchair, right, physically challenged, there should be a category for intellectual disabilities.
For sure. There's no question about it. And Chris, I saw that you play golf.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And how did you get into golf? One, and two, what drew you to golf, and what's your handicap?
Apparently, my age was 9 when I started.
Wow.
And then second, all I ever wanted one day is to play the pros.
Really?
Yeah.
You want to be a pro golfer, huh?
Like,
Who-
it'd be every pro golfer that I could meet. And they
Yeah.
always said, yes, sir, we're going to beat us. And I'm like, yeah, we told you this. We're not my daddy. It's like, we're all big. We're like, I see you on the first floor. Level what you're on.
Chris has no lack of confidence.
Well, that's awesome. And listen, I love to play golf. I love to play around the golf with you. How far can you hit the driver?
325 yards.
375?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a bomb. I'm lucky if I can hit it 270. You know who I got a chance to meet recently? When I was actually last winter in Florida. I met Jack Nicklaus and Ricky Fowler and a few of the other pro golfers that I went to and played in Jack's charity tournament. Who's your favorite golfer?
Tiger.
Tiger. Oh, that's easy.
Rory.
Rory McIlroy. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
The other guy who won the PTA.
Which one? Steve. You like Steve?
Yes.
Oh, I love Spieth.
Speed's
Right.
won.
No, Jordan Steve. He has a sister with Down syndrome.
Yeah, Jordan has a sister with Down syndrome. Yep,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, he's my favorite, actually.
Well, he's got to pay first. Then triathlon.
I guess what feels better for you? Completing a triathlon or starting the 3-2-1?
Future wife.
And why is that?
You know why? Awareness, baby.
Awareness, baby.
Awareness, baby. God, you got it all going on, Chris. Yeah, I don't know. Us Chris's, we got something going here. So when you're not working out, what's your favorite thing to do? Because you spend a lot of time working out.
Well, I get Chipotle every day. I get sushi every night.
Chipotle and sushi every day, every night. What else? What else you do?
I get chips and cheese at a movie theater.
Well,
And at the Magic Games, I get $9 with a beer.
you know, it's
Okay.
food, right?
And sports with women.
Flirt with women.
Flirt with women. Well, that's a good one. You're still single. You don't, if you're single, that's okay. You can go out there and meet all the girls you want. I don't
Yeah.
blame you.
There's no such thing as sports to women.
Now, how about what's your type of woman anyway? Like my type, I love blonde women,
Yeah.
and they have to have either blue eyes or green eyes.
Mine is hot pink.
Hot pink.
Hot pink one.
Okay.
And so like sometimes pink or red.
So he wants someone like his mom, and his mother is beautiful blonde with green eyes.
I saw your mom. She is beautiful. I saw your mom on one of your videos. So your training regimen, we know that. How about your diet? You must eat a lot of food to be able to keep that energy up. What's your diet like?
So basically my diet is like when people are constantly telling me what I can eat or image of the Ironman training. And my dad would say, Start with my son's diet.
All right, so now tell them what you like to eat.
What do you like to eat?
So what do you like? What do you get for breakfast?
Waffle House,
And then for lunch
Chipotle,
and dinner?
sushi.
Okay.
Wow.
Guess what? With Rita.
What's your favorite? What's your favorite junk food? Like a pizza, chips, what?
Cheese.
Chip and cheese.
Chips and cheese, nachos.
Church.
Well, good for you.
Eggs.
So, you have the house, the car. You start your own business. You're financially independent. All these things. It's incredible. What would you say to someone that is down and out and they're down on their luck in life? And they seem like their life is going nowhere and they're feeling sorry for themselves. What would you say to that person?
Let's keep pushing. And does not. If they're ready to go up to some barrier, you gotta eat more rice from Chipotle. If they have a Chipotle in the community, they're not going there. They eat more rice. And whenever they wear the 1% t-shirt, and if they says, eat more rice from Chipotle, they're all gonna be like Chris Nikic.
I think Chipotle should hire you for sure and do a commercial for Chipotle. That's what they ought to do. Coming over the finish line at the triathalon and running right into Chipotle to have lunch. That's what they ought to do.
Oh no.
Right? So I'm curious. Now, this podcast is called Tough as They Come. What is, there's all sorts of definitions for toughness, but to you, what do you think toughness is?
I think it's all that
Mental toughness?
mental toughness. It's all that the brain, repetition, body, and mind.
God bless you. God bless you, because you definitely need to have that mental toughness to do what you do. Just to not forget about the triathlon for a second, just what you do every day to prepare for that. It's incredible, Chris. Honestly, talk about inspiring. I get tired watching you. When I watched that video, I was like, man, how is he doing it? And you just battle right through it and tough as ever. And that's impressive. I'm telling you. You proved a lot of people wrong, I'm sure. And you're going to continue to do that. So when is your next race? Your marathon or triathlon? When's the next one coming up?
Marathon. 2 marathons.
Okay.
My birthday on October 6th.
Yeah.
I'm going to be 24.
One of the next 2 marathons.
September and October.
September, October, Chicago.
Now, how about doing another triathlon? Is that in the future anytime soon?
No,
No?
I'm going to retire.
Oh, you're so silly.
You're not retiring. You kidding me?
Go with your friends next year.
Are you pulling my leg?
No, he's kidding.
Are you going to do Kona again?
I might think so. Or that.
Yes.
Well, you know what I'm going to try and do? Here's what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to try and get to Kona. If you go and race Kona again, I'm going to try and go and visit family the same time that the triathlon is there, and I'm going to come in and root you on. How's that? Maybe we can go for dinner in Kona. I'll take you out. I don't think they have a Chipotle there, though.
Yeah, they're building one.
They are? There you go. Well, we'll go to Chipotle for sure.
So next year, the goal is for him to bring 6 to 8 of his Special Olympics friends to do Kona together.
Well, I saw that one girl, what was her name? Abigail Adams? Is it Abigail?
So there's 2 girls doing Kona this year, Adrian and Marlon.
Okay, Adrian and Marlon.
It's athletes, and they're both doing Kona this year. And then next year, Chris has like 6 or 8 of his friends, male friends, who are all training to Kona as well.
Wow. Look at all the people you inspired, Chris. That is unbelievable. You got to be so happy about that, right? Huh? That is so cool. Right? God put you on this earth for a reason, boy. And I got to tell you, you are touching a lot of people and helping so many people. God bless you. And you know what? You are as tough as they come.
Actually, I'm tough as grit.
You're tough.
Yeah. You are tough as grit. Nick, thank you so much for taking the time here today. I appreciate it. And Chris, you're a special man. You're a good man. And you certainly are a tough man. I loved having you today. Awesome stuff.
Look here.
What I want to ask, Nick, you believe that kids with disabilities, their parents have low expectations. Now, quite frankly, when I first saw what Chris was doing and what you were doing with him, I thought it was kind of unusual the way you push him. I think my first reaction, if I had a son like that, I would be like, geez, I want to protect him. I want to, I got to be careful about him, and I guess just have those low expectations because, geez, physically he doesn't look like he could do anything. What got you over that hump that you said, man, I'm going to shoot for the moon with this kid. I'm going to give him a life and let him experience life. What got you over the hump?
Yeah, good question. So it's the parents, but the parents start out being very hopeful and optimistic about everything. But then from the time our kids are born all the way through school, they're bombarded by everyone who tells them what their kids can't do and scared them to death to the point where the parents eventually give up and they take on the behavior of the belief system that is being put on them by the community, the doctors, the teachers, the counselors. Everybody convinces them that they can't do it, that it's risky to do it, that it's unhealthy. And most of that is ignorance because people just don't know. And so they view our kids, and the natural thing to say is they can't do it, so protect them. And that ends up becoming the very thing that destroys them. Behavior drives, beliefs drive behavior. And if your belief is you will never accomplish anything, then your behavior follows that. And so you never accomplish anything. And you become fully dependent, a dependent person the rest of your life on someone. Well, when Chris turned 18, we had fought that battle for 18 years. And honestly, we had given up. No matter how much we wanted to believe, when everybody around you tells you they can't, you eventually give up. But I saw Chris at the age of 18. Essentially, we talk about that's kind of when our kids hit the end of the cliff. They fall off the end of the cliff, which means when you and I were 18, we were going on to college and playing sports and excited about the beginning of our life. Yeah. Well, for our kids, that's the end of their life because there is no college, there is no job, there is no spouse, there is no social setting, there is no sports, there is no anything. So they end up living this life of isolation, alone on their couch with their parents and the immediate community. So I looked at my son and said, this can't be the end of his life. So then I pursued a different strategy. The first part of my strategy was I put a bubble around him, meaning I isolated him from everybody around him because I wanted to stop the influx of negative thoughts. I wanted to change his mindset. I wanted to help him build a tougher mindset, a success mindset. I wanted him to think differently. And the only way I could do that was to stop people from putting garbage in his head. And then I was also scared, right? I was afraid of risk, and I'm risk averse. I'm pretty conservative guy. And so I said, well, how can I help him where I can help him reach his full potential, yet at the same time be risk averse? So I said, what if I just help him increase 1% at a time? I mean, I can't hurt him. I can track his progress 1% at a time. If it looks risky, I can stop. If it looks like it's going to hurt him, I can stop. If it looks like it's going to do any kind of damage, I can stop. And so I went on this long-term journey to help him improve physically 1% at a time. And I said, I'll stop when it looks like it's hurting him. But you know what happened? Every time he got 1% better, his potential grew. Every time he got 1% better, he got stronger, he got smarter, he wanted to do more. And that was 5.5 years ago, where he started doing one push-up, running 100 yards, swimming one lap in a pool. Now the kid works out 4, 5, 6 hours a day, and I'm not with him. He's at the gym all by himself. He's got his routine. He's doing an 8-mile run this morning. Then he's doing strength training. Then he's going to do some swimming. And then we get on an airplane at 3 o'clock because he's got a speech in Pennsylvania, and then another one in Texas on Friday. And he's going to run while he's up there somewhere. We're going to find some farmlands. But that's really what changed. I went on this journey to teach my son mental toughness and to get him healthy and give him an opportunity to be included into the community just like the rest of us.
That's awesome. And this 1% Better program, when I heard you speaking about it, it amazed me. Now, those little increments, getting better, those little increments, each time he was doing something, whether it was 5 push-ups, tomorrow we're doing 6. Did you have to deal with some, I guess with him, some pushback, like with the days like he was like, I don't want to do this, and, enough's enough. And how'd you deal with that?
Yeah, there's always pushback when you push someone too hard. But I didn't push him too hard. I only pushed him 1% at a time. And so he developed this mental, this mindset that, hey, he knew he did 10 last time. So 10 is no big deal, right? I only had to push him for number 11. Right. And when you say, hey, buddy, you just have one more, they actually get excited because it's the end of the workout. So he doesn't see it as pushing. He sees it as, I'm just going to get this done. So I'm done.
And then the positive affirmation at the end of it, he must be just like happier than a clam, right?
And that's the 1% mindset, because the brain is designed to release endorphins and what we call the happy drugs when you achieve something you've never achieved before. Right? The 10 doesn't do anything for him. Number 11 releases the endorphins, and he says, oh, I want to do that again. And that's how habits are formed, and that's how great athletes are made, great musicians, right? Everybody who's great at something is made because they've seen progress. That progress reinforces it. It gives them a sense of dignity, and it makes them feel good about themselves. They get recognized by the community, so they go back and do it again. Right? Everyone who's ever been successful has experienced that, but because we never give our kids the dignity of trying that, they never have that experience. I gave Chris that opportunity to experience the same thing you and I did as we went through our growing years, and we wanted to pursue our dreams. And then ultimately, the real question you're asking is, well, how do you get them to do that little extra? And the answer always is, the foundation of our program is we start with a dream. We define each person's dream. And with Chris, I sat down and I had him write down his dreams. And then every time things got tough, I would ask him one question. Christopher, there's a battle going on in your brain. It's between the pain you're experiencing to get better or the dream. What's going to win? Are you going to let the pain win, or are you going to let your dream win? And he always comes back to the same answer. Okay, Dad, the dream is going to win. I said, all right, buddy, go ahead and finish it. And he always finishes it. And so people say you push your son. And that's a misnomer. I can't push my son to do 140 miles. What I can do is I can inspire him with his own dreams. I know how to communicate with my son. I know how to talk to him. I know how to reach him the same way every great coach reaches their athletes to get the most out of them. I talk to him in the way he understands and the way he gets inspired. But if I don't know what makes him tick, I can't talk to him in a way that inspires him.
That 1% better, I get it, and how you've applied that. And it's brilliant what you did with your son and what you're doing with your son. I just love it, and what he's now able to do on his own. This 1% better program, working with your son who has Down syndrome, disabilities. Now, this program certainly worked for those kids. How about the average kid? Because, boy, a lot of parents out there in today's world when you think about it, two parents working, sometimes, children get lost. They don't get that attention. Chris, I'm sure, gets your full undivided attention and has for a long time. And yeah, he's somewhat independent today, which is awesome. And thanks to his dad and him. But how about the regular kid? Can the same method, the 1%, work for the regular kid?
Well, the 1% actually does work for everybody, but it's never been applied and modified to kids like Chris with an intellectual disability. I got the idea of 1% better 23 years ago when I went to dinner with John Wooden. And I asked him that magical question, right? John Wooden is the greatest coach of all time, considered by most. I asked him, how did you do it? And his answer to me inspired the 1% better system. He said, what most people don't know is it took me 10 or 15 years to figure it out. And then once I figured it out, all people remember is the success. But while I was figuring it out, he said, I had this system and I would only change or improve things 1% at a time. One little bit. I would document everything and then I would watch for the results. I wouldn't change anything too much because you don't know what impact it has. And so I changed things slowly and I documented and I wrote everything down and I made sure that we addressed every little thing on our way to perfection. And so I took that concept and went and started a company called Sales Optimizer, and I started applying the 1% system to training salespeople. And I built a very successful company doing that. And then continue to learn. The difference is, and then I applied it to my daughter and I taught her how to play basketball. She was a first team All-State basketball player in Florida, played at Dartmouth, Division I basketball player. I applied the 1% principle to her. And all I did, the difference with intellectual disabilities and the rest of us is our kids with intellectual disabilities don't learn the same way. So I modified the 1% to align to the way they learn and the way they understand how to execute. I made it much more physical, less verbal, more interactive, and I broke it down to one little thing at a time that they could understand until we layered all of that in their subconscious mind until it all came together and they're able to execute it. So the 1% better system is being executed every single day by everybody, including you when you were becoming an excellent hockey player, right? Yeah. There's a book called Marginal Gains in London, where the coach who took the London cycling team from worst in the world to world champions, and he calls it marginal gains, right? 1% better. Yeah. The concept of slow progressive improvement is what every single business and every individual who's successful does. I just took it and modified it to kids with intellectual disabilities. So to your question, our other kids have that system. They have coaches and people who do it in different ways. They don't call it 1%, but they have it. Our kids with intellectual disabilities don't have it. And so what I've learned is by simplifying it, Chris has shown me the power of execution, of simplification. And now what I believe is that if it's applied back to typical kids, especially kids who aren't elite already, they'll benefit from it because it is simplified. It's easy to execute. And a lot of the average kids could become elite performers following the 1% better system.
That's so cool. It makes so much sense too, to simplify it for these kids. Did you have plans, I guess, for taking this to another level with kids with disabilities? We see Special Olympics and kids in Special Olympics. Will a lot of these kids get a look at this 1% better program?
Yeah, good question. So the answer is yes. 3 years ago, there was only one athlete in the world, in the history of the world, from Special Olympics to do an Ironman. That was Chris. Out of 7 million athletes, there was one.
That's unbelievable.
It took them almost 3 years to do that. Since Chris did it, it took another 2.5 years for 5 more Special Olympics athletes to do a half Ironman. By the end of the year, there will be 10. By the end of the year, there will be 5 of them who do a complete Ironman. And do you want to guess where all these 10 kids live?
Where?
Within 2
Florida?
Within 2 hours of Chris.
It's unbelievable.
And so it's partly about the system, but it's partly about the belief system as well. It's about the proximity principle. the closer you are to people who are doing something that you want to do, the more likely it's going to get done. So out of 7 million Special Olympics athletes in the world, there's only 10 who are doing an Ironman this year, and they all live within 2 hours of Chris. So we want to take that program and take it global.
That'll be awesome. That'll be so awesome to see kids who probably just, and parents, siblings who never thought their child would have a chance at anything like this, to be introduced to it and then be able to just expand their horizons. And, you know, instead of having that small life, to be able to get out there and actually and do some really cool stuff. So Kona this year, how excited are you about that with Chris?
So to your question, how can Chris ever surpass what he's done? And that is by becoming a role model that influences thousands and hundreds of thousands of others to do what he did. That, I believe, is a bigger, more profound goal than what he did for himself. It's doing it for others. And that's really the mission for the next unforeseeable future, is what can Chris do to influence others like him and create a belief system around the world and a system of execution where hundreds of thousands and millions of other athletes can benefit from the same kind of experience that Chris had, and they can experience the same kind of joy of competition, of success and failure, right, of inclusion into the community, right, of all the benefits that come from that, whether they be just social or employment or sponsorship opportunities, or just feeling like a human being who's included in the rest of the society. I think that's the mission. I think that's the greater goal that Chris can accomplish.
That's so awesome. And I lied. I need to ask you one more. And the one more is, this podcast is called As Tough as They Come. And when I think of Chris, there's no question in my mind, he's as tough as they come for being able to achieve the things he has. When you think of toughness, like everybody thinks different thing. Oh, someone can fight. He's tough in the ring. He's tough. What's your definition of toughness?
For me, definition of toughness is mental toughness, right? The most successful people in the world in anything are the ones who are mentally tough enough to get through when the stress hits, when the pressure hits, when the most difficult things hit in your life, whether it's at home with your marriage or out on a sporting field or in school studying for an exam or trying to get through medical school, right? In the end, it's mental toughness. Chris has that unbelievable mental toughness, but the good news is Chris wasn't born with mental toughness. Mental toughness can be taught. The 1% Better system is a system for teaching kids and adults mental toughness. There's degrees of mental toughness, say from 0 to 10, right? The most successful people are the ones who are 9 or 10 because they persevere when everybody else quits, right? They're not the most talented. They're just the hardest working. Hard work builds grit. Hard work builds mental toughness. And to me, Chris is as tough as they get because he has spent the last 5.5 years following a 1% Better system that has helped them build this unbelievable mental toughness and grit. And I think, like I said, the good news is anybody can do it. They just have to do the work.
Nick, that's awesome. Thanks so much for taking the time. I appreciate it. What you do, and God bless you for what you do. Not just, again, with your son, but helping these other kids who probably never realized that they had the capabilities of achieving such great things like Chris has in his life. It's just so awesome. So thanks for taking the time.
My pleasure.
Much appreciated.